Welcome to Guns and Gear Network, everyone. I wanted to bring you this video that I thought was pretty important, and it is about security in a situation of crap hits the fan without rule of law. Um, First, let me get off the table real quick some caveats. First off, I don't advocate anyone impersonating police officers, any of that type stuff. Our law enforcement has enough uh, trouble trying to do their job and the tough job that they have to do. Don't make it more difficult, guys. So I'm not advocating that you are, impersonating police officers in certain states, maybe even against the law to impersonate a security personnel. Now, in my state in particular, you can do security, but you have to be licensed if you're going to get paid. So, with that said, we're talking about without rule of law. In other words, the police can't be found. They just don't have the resources or whatever the situation may be. This could be done man-made disaster, could be natural disaster, whatever the situation. And you're going to have to put together some type of security for your home, neighborhood, um, general area you live in. Keep in mind, guys, even in good times, in rural areas especially, it may be 20, 30 minutes before law enforcement can get there, even under emergency situations, just due to the nature of not enough manpower and too much land to cover to get there. So we're talking about when even that is extended, and possibly you may never see them for weeks for whatever the situation. And you're going to have to put together a security plan. So that's what this discussion is about. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the kit real quick that you see on the table here. That's a plate carrier, does have plates in it, has a security patch, security badge. It's not a sheriff's badge, not a police badge, it's security. Down here at the bottom, you have a LED. It's a strobe LED that clips to your windshield and does utilizes a cigarette plug lighter. It is white. It is not blue or red or yellow. It is white. Over here you have a couple different ways of communication, two different radios, and then some flex cuffs. Now, I just put this on the table as an example. Now, the reason I have this on the table is this is the type stuff. Except for my radios, obviously, I do carry some flex cuffs in my car, but and the vest I keep around. But the security type stuff, the lights, the badges, any of that type stuff, that's kind of one of those situations that's break glass in case of emergency situation. You won't see that riding around in my car or any of that type stuff, because even that type stuff can get you in trouble or raise the eyebrows of law enforcement to the point of getting you in potential trouble. So this what I'm talking about today is without rule of law and not going out and trying to play wannabe cop or rent a cop or any of that. Going out and patrolling your neighborhood today while law enforcement's still active and available. None of that type stuff. This is talking about law enforcement can't be found. They're just not there. Um, I so I recommend having some type of way to identify yourself as security, and the reason is um, law-abiding citizens that want to be law-abiding are going to pay attention to security, law enforcement type people. They're going to listen to them. They're going to trust them. Now, let's use a concert as the example. You're at a concert and some guy in a black t-shirt says security across the front, says, "Hey buddy, come here a minute." And you're going to walk over and, "Yes sir, what's the problem?" or whatever. Same situation, some guy in a flannel shirt, and a John Deere ball cap, "Hey buddy, come here." You're gonna be like, "Huh? What's your problem?" You're not gonna pay attention to him. Um, so when you're out and about doing security in that situation and you have this type stuff on, people are going to be a little more trusting, and it may not get you shot. You come in a real bad situation where there's looting, rioting, all that type stuff. or they know that the situation's bad. It's been, week to 2 weeks. People can't get in and out, all that type stuff. And you come strolling up in their yard with just a plain shirt and, jeans and a hat on, they're probably going to possibly shoot first, ask questions later, unfortunately. That's just the way it is in those situations. At least with this, they may wait and find out exactly your intentions before they would do anything. So this is just another layer of your own security and protection by having some of this stuff on hand. I pull up in the driveway. I've got my light flashing. I get out. I've got this kid on, and I get out of the car. They're probably going to wait before they start opening fire on you potentially. People that are nervous or scared, and you come out with, especially if you got a firearm with you, and they see you in plain clothes, there's a good chance they're just going to start opening fire on you and shoot you. This right here is just another layer of your protection and your security. So I was on the phone. I called a friend of mine a few months ago. It was on a Tuesday night. He didn't answer the phone. I left him a message. A few hours later, he calls me back. And I said, hey, how's it going? And I said, where you been? He said, well, I was at church, and I was at a training meeting. I said, training meeting? I said, y'all have church on Tuesdays? And he said, no. He said, we had a special meeting. We've implemented a security detail and a security plan at our church, and this is one of our meetings. We're doing training, and it's, every how long, a month long, or every Tuesday for a month, or whatever the case may be. I said, really? That's interesting. He said, I thought you'd like that. He knows I'm into prepping and that sort of thing. And I said, so tell me a little. And I kind of actually laughed at him a little bit because he's not one of these that thinks I'm nuts, but he thinks that he don't look for the worst things that can happen sometimes. But I found it ironic that he jumped on board with this church situation. He's retired law enforcement, so he's a liberal, but he's a retired law enforcement. I'll say that. He's a good friend of mine. And so anyway, he told me that what they did was they took volunteers, people that was concealed carry, current or former law enforcement, military, firefighters, EMTs, nurses, any of that type stuff that was in the church. They asked for volunteers. They had a meeting, told them what it was about to begin with, and they got the congregation on board, and they agreed to it. The pastor actually came to a couple of law enforcement guys and said, look, things the way they are in the world and this, that, and the other, what do you guys think about putting together a security team? And they were all for it. So he didn't go into great detail. We had kind of a short conversation, but he was talking. I said, well, what kind of stuff do y'all have in plan? And he said, well, we've got, we rotate people that work the parking lot. So like one Sunday he'll work and work the parking lot as far as there's like a vestibule out front of the church, and there's a chair, and they'll kind of listen to the preacher for, a little while, and then they'll go out, walk security around the perimeter and the area and the parking lots and go back in. And they'll rotate doing that. They also strategically placed church members that are on this team throughout the congregation and where they sit in the church. And so they'll know everybody's job and who's responsible for what. They also bought some other gear, some gear. I think they bought some first aid gear, possibly some two-way radios, I think he mentioned, and a few other things. And they just put together a security detail. And this is in good times. This is something that they put together that, any Sunday emergency could happen, and they want to be able to implement a plan and have people on staff, on site that knew what they were doing and so forth. And I think he even mentioned they do a security briefing first thing in the morning and see who's there attending church that Sunday. So my point to that conversation is kind of bringing into this situation where you're going to have to be potentially the security, and you're going to have to put together a security team. Now, myself, because I'm kind of the prepared mind, I've got enough kit that I could put together at least a small security team with most all the kit, and so you're going to have to be able to potentially do that. In a true emergency situation, you're going to have to go out and start going door to door, making sure everybody's A-okay, and B, what skill set they have. You need to find out, is there any prior military, law enforcement, medical personnel, doctors, EMTs, firefighters, any job that they know how to do, because you're going to have to put together really your own community of those type people. You're going to have maybe, if you got 3 guys that are volunteer firemen, okay guys, you're in charge of fire, that sort of thing. if you can help train maybe 5 other people of the proper way to put out fires and how to, do all that. You have to have, maybe you've got somebody that's a dental hygienist that knows a little bit of medical, but you also have a registered nurse and maybe a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, and you can get them all together. Then you can maybe create even a little small mini hospital that people can go to, and all that. Because eventually resources are going to start running thin, even gas, any of that, especially when the grid's down and people can't just go get gas. So the ones that are not prepared, they got the tank of gas that's in there, and then you're going to have to prioritize and say, look, you can't drive anywhere, so we're going to take your gas, even if it's a portion of it, and put it in the security vehicle. And you're going to put those, implement those little small details to put it together. Say, look, if you want security, everybody's got to chip in. So that means putting, and then you got to figure out, okay, do we patrol constantly, or do we put up checkpoints to keep people out, that way we're not having to patrol as much and use up our resources as far as the automobiles or fuel, any of that. Barricades, you're going to have to think all this out, and that's going to be pretty important, because your resources will eventually start dwindling the further this goes along. And in the short term, you may be able to do security patrols by vehicle, that sort of thing, but you may be better off just doing barricades, security checkpoints, and all that. The main thing you're going to have, especially in a grid down situation, is a way to communicate. I recommend getting you a few of these radios. Now, if you're of the prepared mind, I would recommend having a minimum of 4 to 6 of these radios put back that you can utilize. This is the Baofangs. There's videos. I'll probably do a little short video about these in the future. These are the 2 I recommend. This is the UV5R. They've made a few updates, different versions. I still like the UV5R personally, just because of what I've gotten used to over the years. And this is the 888S model. Now, the difference between the 2, this one has a keypad. You can program it. Has over 100 and some channels. This one's only a 16 channel, but I can pass this off to a neighbor at the top of a road and say, you're doing a security checkpoint tonight, and anybody that comes by, you need to radio us to let us know that somebody's come through the checkpoint. And if that's the case, this was the easiest radio to operate. There's only 16 channels, and there's a knob, and it's literally all the way left is channel 1, all the way right is channel 16, and whatever's in between. And you tell that person, always stay on channel 4. And it tells them when it's on channel 4. It'll literally say channel 4 when they hit it. That's the easiest radio to pass off. You can also program it to communicate with this one. This one actually communicates. You can program in GMRS, FRS, ham, and those type. So it's very flexible. MERS is another one, I think. I don't know if you can do marine in this particular radio, the marine band, but I know you can do MERS, FRS, GMRS, and some of the ham channels, so ham frequencies. So that's the easiest radio to program and to hand off to a neighbor that's doing a checkpoint. And then you may want to keep this one so you can monitor other things. If you have somebody with a CB radio, that's fine. You may have that person at a checkpoint that's using a CB that's talking to me that has a CB, but I have these radios, and these are passed off. So that person with the CB would say something to me. I would then take that information and relay it over these radios. So there's ways to put in all that. So I don't want to get too much off on the exact security procedures and all that, but I did want to touch base on it. But my main part of this whole theme of this video is having you together a little kit that you can put together that looks like you mean business, that you are a professional, that you're not there to harm anyone, that you're there to try bringing some type of law and order to your given area. That literally could be your small retreat that you've put together, your home, you and 4 guys. You're going to bunk up together. That's, your wives or whatever. And that, somebody's working security and it's the top of the driveway. That's fine. Then again, you may branch that out, because if you don't have enough resources and you're going to start getting tired, you may not have any medical type resources at your facility as far as skill set. So I need to branch out now. So in order to branch out a little further in the neighborhood, I need to trade off. So I say, look, we'll do security for you guys if you'll help us with firewood, you'll help us with medical, dental, any of that type stuff. So that's why I say sometimes it's just beyond, unless you, there's some real serious preppers out there that has, probably 20, 30, 40, 50 people within their group, and they've got a dedicated retreat and everything they need is on site. That's a rarity. You've got sporadic small pockets of quote unquote preppers within a community that they're going to have other resources, and that is usually just manpower. Going back to when I was talking about that law enforcement situation in rural areas where it takes 30 minutes for an officer to get there, that's because they don't have that much manpower. You think about it. If it's you and 3 guys, somebody's having to work 24 hours a day in security when it comes to these situations. Because if not, you can't sleep. They can come in on you before you wake up unless you've got some type of, other measures set up as far as security, perimeter security, as far as alarms or any of that, and alarms fail. That's why we have manpower. So again, you still need to be able to reach out to other people and offer your assistance, and vice versa. They'll be able to help you with these things like security. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to touch base on this. I think it's a pretty important topic because without security, your preps and stuff, it doesn't matter what you've accomplished as far as securing items and food or any of that. If they come in and overtake you or overtake your neighborhood, guess what? You no longer have that property as your possession. Somebody else is going to get it. It's just like looting. They come in, burn the place down, take what they want and burn it, and it's over with. So same thing can happen. You've got to put together a security detail. If you go back and look at Trina, they did that. If you look at some of the recent riots, there were people that volunteered their time to set up security at these businesses. And guess what? Guess which businesses didn't get looted or broke into? The ones that had guys sitting on top of the roof with shotguns and rifles. There was a reason. Same thing. You think a bunch of people are going to come into a neighborhood when you've got roaming patrols and you've got security checkpoints with people sitting there with ARs, shotguns, or whatever? I don't think so. They're probably going to move on to something else, an easier target. Now, eventually they may get to you because they've, used up the resources that they could get to and decide to go ahead and try figuring out a way to penetrate you, but and get past you. But they're going to move on, and that's been proven time and time again. You go back as far as the LA riots. The Koreans sitting on top of their buildings, they secured the perimeter and the windows and everything. They put boards up. They stacked all kinds of stuff in front of those windows and stuff so they couldn't break them. Shopping carts, cars, and everything else. Guess what? Their businesses stood at the end of it all, and that's what this conversation's about. They knew those guys meant business, and they were not going over there messing with them. And that's what I'm talking about, is setting up your security checkpoints in your neighborhoods under these situations. So again, this ain't about going out and playing wannabe cops or any of that type stuff and all that. This is about having some basic little bit of kit that represents you as a professional, that is there not to harm anyone. Your best intentions are to make sure everybody's secure. Again, security, that's what that means, is everybody's secure and safe, and that's what you're going to do. And like I said, just having a little something like this goes a long way. One thing I want to mention real quick, because I didn't talk about it, the flex cuffs, those things are pretty cheap, guys. Don't go out and try buying a bunch of handcuffs. I obviously own a couple pair of handcuffs, but for general, I'm carrying those. They're lighter, easier. I can put 20, 30 of them in my car. They don't weigh anything. Keep in mind, people can get out of those. You have to sometimes put 2 of them on, make sure you're going to do it behind their back. And I won't go into, like I said, all the details of how to do security in general. But if you're going to use flex cuffs, keep in mind people can break those, cut them. So you got to pay a little closer attention to that person. I wouldn't turn my back on them too long with just flex cuffs, or even with handcuffs, but definitely with flex cuffs. But go buy you some flex cuffs. Those can they make specific flex cuffs, or they make these that are just standard just standard zip ties that are just heavy duty. You buy at Lowe's, that can be used. And but anyway, guys, if you think about it, put together a little small kit, some security t-shirts, some vests that say, or jackets that say security, if you want to go to this level, and get you some security patches. A lot of the guys that's going to be watching this video, they're going to already have some of this kit as far as the vest, potentially, that's going to have Velcro. Get you some security patches. Those security badges, they're dirt cheap. I mean, they're usually less than $12 on eBay. in places. You can get all different kinds. I've got the leather backing. If you want that, you can have it. If not, I just happen to have it, and I was able to put it on there. And but you know, again, get you some stuff that represents you and your neighborhood, that you mean business. And hey, we're not going to take you know, bad guys coming into our neighborhood and destroying it. So anyway, guys, just want to bring this video to you. If you have any questions, feel free to post those. If you have any suggestions, feel free to post those. And try keeping it civil, guys. Again, this wasn't trying to start a flame war of people, you know, oh, want to be cops or crazy dudes or any of that type stuff. Again, I wouldn't call those guys at that church. Like I said, he's a liberal, about as liberal as they come. He's dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, but he's retired law enforcement. But he got on board with the security thing with the church, and that's why I say people need to think about all this and be able to secure yourself and your home and your neighborhoods. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you listening, taking the time. This went a little longer than I wanted, but I thought it was pretty important conversation to have. And if you have any questions, post those. If you would, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be bringing you another video here in the near future. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good day.